Clowns thicken to the bawd and panda Pompey bum. Does your worship mean to geld and splay all the youth of the city? Troilus, the argument of a cuckold and a whore, bequeaths us nothing but panderous diseases, as if Botticelli's Venus had been infected with such a brand as takes off the rose from the fair forehead of an innocent love and sets a blister there. Yet we search in vain for a specific inception of what has been called the Baroque disillusionment. However, the more than Othello rhetoric of dark, O heavy hour, methinks it should be now a huge eclipse of sun and moon, and that the affrighted globe did yawn at alteration, fan out from Caravaggio's 1600 Rome and Naples. Earth's betrayal is ubiquitous. It fell on Abelard, Petrarch, Botticelli, Michelangelo, and Spencer, as on Johnson and Donne, all in fragments, all coherence gone. The pain of Fulk Greville's, if nature did not take delight in blood, she would have found more easy ways to good, appears in Shakespeare's earliest tragedy and the least resolved, Titus Andronicus. Oh, why should nature build so foul a den, unless the gods delight in tragedies? What changes even with pain is the style, Caravaggio's tenebrist weight against the space-dissolving whirls of El Greco. Is Shakespeare a find to both? The Florentine embodiment had set the terms for the crisis of 1600. In Michelangelo's beginnings, 1492, year of Lorenzo il Magnifico's death and Columbus' discovery, power wars on itself, heightened and consumed. The phases of cathartic pain, hybris, dike, soteria, swell toward an incarnate trinity, Hegel's fathering idea, alienating passion, synthesis as comforter. For Blake, the innocence, dire experience, renewal of prophetic history. The dawn hope Michelangelo drew from that Florence, Pico's human wonder, man lifting himself on the wings of choice beyond the stars, while Shakespeare's early rapture is platonic love, transplanted from the same humanist ground. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. But Michelangelo's liberation strikes on a rock of impossibility as hard as any in Shakespeare. Down, down I come, like glistering phaeton, wanting the manage of unruly jades. Cover your heads, and mock not flesh and blood with solemn reverence. He that hath suffered this disordered spring hath now himself met with the fall of leaf. Pathos and glory fuse. Michelangelo's Paul thrown down and struck blind by the lightning of God. So Gloucester's reversal in Lear. I stumbled when I saw. Our mere defects prove our commodities. His dying reunion with Edgar, his flawed heart burst smilingly, is the clue to Lear's immortal insight as he dies, that Cordelia is coming to life. Look on her, look, her lips, look there, look there. Upon such sacrifices, the gods themselves throw incense. Though it is in his last broken Pietà, from the time when Vicentino first rounded the chromatic sea, that Michelangelo went beyond what any other artist in any other image has ever made of tragedy. No, 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 no. Come, let's away to prison. We two alone will sing like birds in the cage. When thou dost ask me blessing, I'll kneel down and ask of thee forgiveness, and we'll wear out in a walled prison pacts and sects of great ones that ebb and flow by the moon. What broke the Rondinini Pietà applied an infinite torque even to revived antiquity. Like Michelangelo's Brutus, Shakespeare's Romans have a flawed grandeur unknown to the pagan past, North's Plutarch. Antonius spake, of all them that had slain Caesar, there was none but Brutus only that was moved to do it, as thinking the act commendable of itself, the other conspirators for some private envy against Shakespeare. This was the noblest Roman of them all. All the conspirators, save only he, did that they did in envy of great Caesar. He only, in a general honest thought and common good to all, made one of them. His life was gentle, and the elements so mixed in him, that nature might stand up and say to all the world, this was a man. Only the great can parallel the great. The next depicted conspiracy of such magnitude comes from as far after Shakespeare as Michelangelo was before him, and in the deepened formal contrasts of Huygens light and shade. It is Rembrandt's mutilated oath of Julius Civilis, Batavians in this case, against Rome. But Antony is the Roman whom Shakespeare most titanically reshapes. Set this republican bust of him against Cleopatra's praise. His legs bestrid the ocean, his reared arm crested the world, or Antony's going off. Sometime we see a cloud that's dragonish, a vapor sometime like a bear or lion. They are black Vesper's pageants. Thy captain is even such a body. This matron on the left, Octavia, or her sister Augustus Livia, fits Enobarba's description. Octavia is of a holy, cold, and still conversation. Minas, who would not have his wife so, Enobarbus, not he that himself is not so, which is Mark Antony, he will to his Egyptian dish again. Against the female policy of Rome, this Hellenized Cleopatra, right, as ideal as sensuous, might give a base for Shakespeare's soaring. Age cannot wither her, but for the fatal extravagance of their love, the crown of the earth doth melt. Oh, withered is the garland of the war! For images of the sensuous swoon and lethal rapture, full drawn, ascendant, like the word expire. Wheelbies, draw on, sweet night. Where can we turn but to Michelangelo, the sleeping night for which he wrote, Caro me il sonno, sleep is dear to me, and better to be stone, therefore do not wake me, alas, speak low, pero non mi destar, de parla basso. A carving we can seriously contemplate, even as we read Cleopatra's dateless bargain to engrossing death. Give me my robe, put on my crown, I have immortal longings in me. Now no more the juice of Egypt's grape shall moist this lip. Yeah, good Iris, quick, methinks I hear Antony call. I am fire and air, my other elements I give to baser life. O eastern star, peace, peace, dost thou not see my baby at my breast, that sucks the nurse asleep? oh break, as sweet as balm, as soft as air, as gentle, O Antony. Titian, as different from Michelangelo as Venice from Florence, runs a similar threefold course, however richly its phases overlap. He begins with sensuous delight. Though Juliet, Portia, and the rest do not appear on stage in so frank a pose as this, Shakespeare shows as much in the double play which constitutes his bawdry. What, with my tongue in your tail? Nay, come again, good Kate. We shall ne'er win at that sport, and stake down. Oh, that she were an open, etc., thou a popperin pair. I would I were thy bird, sweet, so would I, yet I should kill thee with much cherishing. Titian's later life is a deepening involvement in that tragic century. By 1570, his Tarquin and Lucrezia, in shade and flaming impasto, has more of Othello than of Shakespeare's mannered rape of Lucrece. Yield to my love, if not, enforced hate, instead of love's coy touch, shall rudely tear thee. But a third phase is implicit in those post-tragic works where primordial and heroic forms loom through a brushwork like incandescent, passionate flakes. In one of the last and greatest of his pictures, Titian returns to the Arcadia of his youth, as if to show, with Cervantes in Part 2 of Don Quixote, the cost of a profound well-being. This pastoral, with the Lucrece of the same time, might form a Winter's Tale pair. From jealous rigor, if powers divine behold our human actions as they do, I doubt not then but innocence shall make false accusation blush, and tyranny tremble at patience. Look down, and see what death is doing. To the recreated Enna of a shearing feast, O Proserpina, for the flowers now that frighted thou lett'st fall from Dice's wagon, daffodils that come before the swallow dares, and take the winds of March with beauty. You gods look down, and from your sacred vials pour your graces upon my daughter's head. In the brittle poignance of Gothic there was no room for that shadowed epithalamium of the conscious heart. What Pericles calls the shores of mortality had not been widened for its great sea of joys. Between the naked villainy and holy writ of Richard III, a thin soil, vernal with flowers, brightens the rock of our wretchedness. The happiness which in early Shakespeare remains inconsequent, Lord, what fools these mortals be, yields in 1400 miniatures and poems at the slightest erosion to the old bleached skull. The life of this world is rolled with wind, weeping, darkness, and staring. With wind we blommen, with wind we lassen, with whelping we common, with whelping we passen. With staring we beginnen, with staring we enden, with dread we dwellen, with dread we wenden. The whole age of faith had voiced that lean, tragic ground, yet could not rise to the proud forms of tragedy. Although from first Gothic to Chaucer, from this Rohan Hour's page to Dürer and Holbein, the quickening life pulse sharpens a cadaver dance and death's head contemplation. It is only in the time of Shakespeare, of the verse anthems of Byrd or of the Gibbons, when the romance of late Renaissance has gauded the doublet and plumed the cap, plumped lip and cheek, and brightened the eyes of mortality, that the sun of glory, as in this Goltzius, lures the tragic tulip from the scar. Why so large cost, having so short a lease, dost thou upon thy fading mansion spend? Shall worms, inheritors of this excess, eat up thy charge? Only then that Hamlet, as the gravedigger singing, in youth when I did love, methought it was very sweet, throws up the skull of Yorick, a fellow of infinite jest, at whose lips the child prince had hung. Where be your gibes now, your gambols? Can weigh loss against an azure-like dawn, when he had courted the fair Ophelia in ideal love, before the ghost walked, or flesh was so far sullied. But look, the morn, in russet mantle clad, walks o'er the dew of yon high eastward hill. Of course, tragedy is reared on the old pessimism of earth, but what exploits of power have wrought from dark age Alcuin's vermibus atque cibus, Hotspur's fall of pride. For Worm's brave Percy, fare thee well, great heart. So in this pleated picture, its corrugations viewed from left and right, Mary Queen of Scots and a death's head, Shakespeare, like perspectives, which rightly gazed upon, show nothing but confusion, eyed awry, distinguish form. Thus Macbeth meteors to the tragic ground. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. If contempt of the world is one pole of the tragic tension, man's belief in its worth is the other. An age of great tragedy takes its tone from that stretch. Sir John Luttrell strides the ocean under the laurel favor of the gods. One of those Elizabethans a contemporary described, free, stout, holt, prodigal of life and blood. From Italy north runs a wave of self-validating pride. Tintoretto's Venetians, Marlowe's aspirers, robed in the mighty line, Tamburlaine. Nature that framed us of four elements, warring within our breasts for regiment, doth teach us all to have aspiring minds, still climbing after knowledge infinite. But the Titan will, here Faustus, try thy brains to gain a deity, strikes on the satanic compact. Adders and serpents, let me breathe a while. Ugly hell, gape not, come not, Lucifer, I'll burn my books. Ah, Mephistopheles, exeunt with him. Titian's Aretino, poison flower of the Renaissance, Fitz Johnson's Volpone, Shakespeare's fallen Angelo. But man, proud man, dressed in a little brief authority, most ignorant of what he's most assured, his glassy essence like an angry ape, plays such fantastic tricks before high heaven as make the angels weep. There lies the crux of tragedy, man on the old morality stage, blown to such fantastical puff-paste. It will come, humanity must perforce prey on itself like monsters of the deep. What such currents have washed over, they reduce to scoured rock, bones of the once assertive. But there remains a shattered pietà, gathering incredible tenderness in its ruin. No cause, or some last death mask, as of Gloucester or Lear, inalienably noble. Tintoretto's final self-portrait, pride divinely broken and affirmed, reaching beyond itself with matchless power. O sun, burn the great sphere thou mov'st in, darkling stand the varying shore of the world. Laughable in the flash of Promethean genius and thunder of tragic words, to turn back the pages to the quiet, impersonal mask of the folio engraving. Beyond the giants of the continent forged in the furnace of spiritual war, could the sweet swan of Avon, in the easy success of his investments and art, opening trim lips to the curse and blessing of all that lives, thou must be patient, we came crying hither, Thou knowest the first time that we smell the air, we wail and cry. Mediate the deepening of humanity and art, as from Hilliard, about 1590, left, with Morley.
It was a lover and his lass with a hey and a ho and a hey, no, ni, no, and a hey, no, ni, no, ni, no.
A realm of puckish caprice and changing loyalties, and those things do best please me that befall preposterously, where moral questions hardly arise, and happy endings can grace the discomfiture of testy Aegis, Malvolio, even of Shylock's malice. To Rembrandt, 1628, write with shine. Over the moral divide, so causally aware that reconciliation is hard to come by, must be paid for at a commensurate, almost at a tragic price. Methought the billows spoke and told me of it, the winds did sing it to me, and the thunder, that deep and dreadful organ pipe, pronounced the name of Prosper. Only 15 years separate that tempest utterance, which bases the world's trespass, punishes and rewards, from the tetrameter yearning of Oberon and Titania. Then, my queen, in silence sad, trip we after the night's shade. We the globe can compass soon, swifter than the wandering moon. Come, my lord, and in our flight, tell me how it came this night, that I sleeping here was found, with these mortals on the ground. As if from platonic withdrawal, all things earthly like far-off mountains turned into clouds, this 16th century trans-real dance of spirits, weightless as the astronomy of angelically guided spheres. We rode the voluminous and life-affirming mask of Rubens' Feast of Venus toward the astronomy of Newton's gravitating masses, so Shakespeare. You nymphs called naiads of the winding brooks, with your sedged crowns and ever harmless looks, leave your crisp channels. You sunburnt sicklemen of August weary, come hither from the furrow and be merry. Though what we need is not simply a dance of nymphs and reapers, but the whole majestic vision of the tempest. Between the two lies the nightmare passage of Degain and Macbeth, energized out of Bosch's demonic seizure. Fair is foul, and foul is fair, hover through the fog and filthy air. Round about the cauldron go, in the poisoned entrails throw. Toad that under cold stone days and nights has 31, sweltered venom sleeping got, boil thou first in the charmed pot. Finger of birth strangled babe, ditch delivered by a drab. Double, double, toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. In Degain, that souring fell also on flesh, Titian's voluptuous ideal, loaded with the strongest suggestion our worser genius can. It is not words that shakes me thus, pish, noses, ears, and lips. What wrenches love from dun, spermatic issue of ripe menstruous boils, to swift, oh Celia, Celia, Celia shits, rages in the tragedies. The fitune of the soiled horse goes to it with a more riotous appetite. As in Degain's witch visions, the pure offering of the heart, that silly sooth of the old age, becomes the imposthume of Hamlet's fever. Nay, but to live in the rank sweat of an enseamed bed, stewed in corruption, honeying and making love over the nasty sty. The new fullness of flesh heightens the task with the need of vindication. Donne's dialogue of one, from the ecstasy of his own love and marriage, to our bodies turn we then, else a great prince in prison lies, will not answer for Milton's fall, or Rembrandt's wife of Potiphar, Leontes. No barricado for a belly, no, it will let in and out the enemy with bag and baggage. And Iago, didst thou not see her paddle with the palm of his hand? Lechery. But it was not true of Hermione, nor of Desdemona. The muddy imputation falls off under the death cadence of an old song. Sing willow, willow, willow. Rembrandt, too, in one of his last works, as if looking back, dallying with the innocence of love, reconstitutes in embodied, earth-shadowed harmonies that blessedness of the soul, as I hope for quiet days, fair issue, and long life, with such love as 'tis now. Our pictures have ranged over Europe. Yet even in Shakespeare's island, where art after the Reformation lagged, we might trace the threefold transformation. The ideal phase fares best. Hilliard's Elizabeth has the refinement of Spenser's. Tell me, have ye seen her angelic face, like Phoebe fair? Her heavenly haviour, her princely grace, can ye well compare? The red rose medled with the whitey fair, in either cheek depainted lively cheer. Her modest eye, her majesty, where have you seen the like but there? The deepening comic bacchanal that runs from Titian to the compound mass of Rubens pairs English Oliver with a wicked Wilby madrigal on satyrs. Fain wouldst thou turn and yield them their delight. While the introspection which throws over many works of 1600 a to be or not to be pale cast of thought, Langnau's morbid youth, Hamlet's what a piece of work,